Now, listen, this video is not about you. If you think this video is about you specifically, I mean, it's about millennials. Because millennials are a really effed up generation. And as a result, sometimes when people sit down to consume, consume is a bad word. We want to get away from consuming content passively. That's what people do on Twitter. They like, oh, I'm tired. Let's see what's on the twat today. And they started like, oh, so-and-so is Brangelina? Oh, Brad Pitt is like a big macho man, even though he's really a pussy. So, anyway, so if you think this video was, this episode of America's Man's Man, was created specifically for you, I have a story just for you. You who think this video is all about you. All 27 million of you. So, a company called Domino's, you know of it, right? It's like they used to have a guarantee. They deliver your pizza in 30 minutes or less. And to make the point clearer, their mascot was called, very few people know this because the fake news who delivers your news has, they advertise a lot on the fake news, and so the fake news never, very seldom tramples its advertisers and its major partners, unless that partner happens to be the president, the best president that we've ever had in the world, who is Donald Trump. Anyway, Domino's used to have this mascot, and it was called the Noid. Okay, and he'd do all freaky, weird, gimmicky things like Noid. Anyway, the purpose of the Noid was to personify kind of the marketing kind of justification or rationale, or the gimmick was that this Noid personifies everything and anything that could possibly go wrong with your pizza getting to you on time within the guaranteed 30 minutes. Is what they used to guarantee. So it was like 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Thank you, sir. And just gotta make sure no one else runs me over. This guy just anyway. So the Noid is the personification of everything and anything that could go wrong with your 30-minute pizza, hot and fresh to your door. Well, again, this is why the story is for all of you, millions of sometimes overly aggressively loving fans who might happen to think that this video was made specifically about you. You'd be surprised. It's a weird, anyway, it's a weird phenomenon. I mean, I'm prepared for it because I work in an industry that has historically gotten death threats, and sometimes for darn. I don't want to. I'm going to choose my words carefully here. But I mean, the fake news has wrought more terrorism. I'm trying to be a part of the solution. That's why I do this. But they don't like to talk about their death threats because there have been good Americans all along who have been writing the fake news. It's like they're onto them, but they don't have the wherewithal or the intelligence to be able to lawfully confront the terrorism, which has always been fake news. So the best thing they can think of to do is to write a letter, a death threat letter. And so I've among all the fake news anchors and anchorettes I've worked for over the years, I haven't met one, I don't think, who has not received a death threat. And some of them are pretty awful people, but especially where obviously, I wouldn't want someone to unlawfully deal with me. I think it's important to. I believe in the death penalty, but I think it's important to lawfully and in a justified process. In a legal. We have a very good legal system. We have a very good government here in America, the best in the world, because we're the best nation in the world. And so, if someone deserves to be put to death, say for terrorizing America with fake news, I think that they should be put through the process for that. But anyway, or someone who really didn't have adequate justification for killing someone else whatsoever. Man by the name of there was a man whose name, remember, we're talking about the Noid, the Domino's Noid, personification personification of everything that can go wrong with your pizza. There was Domino's called it the Noid. Well, David Noid, a Florida man. I guess this is where all these weird news stories happen. A Florida man named, I think he was a Florida man, named David Noid. I'm just assuming he was from Florida because this is what happens in... we don't want to knock the red state too much, but I mean, they did create Jeb Bush. Anyway, a Florida man named, his name happened to be David Noid. And Tom, he thought he would watch these commercials on TV about the Noid doing all this wacky stuff, you know, like knocking over the pizza or whatever. David Noid thought that the founder and then chairman of Domino's Pizza, Tom Moynihan. A lot of interesting stories going on with these pizza chain owners. That's as far as we're gonna take that thought. David Noid, he really believed, and as was evidenced by what he did, he really believed that Tom Moynihan, the founder and then chairman of Domino's Pizza, had some kind of personal grudge against him. Tom Moynihan had never met this fellow. Totally just out of... So one day he broke into, I believe it was a Florida Domino's, and he shot and killed the employees. And the reason, in his mind, the justification for this mentally disturbed person was that he thought that Tom Moynihan was had started this whole Noid thing as like a personal axe to grind with him. He thought Tom Moynihan had an axe to grind with him. His name just happened to be David Noid. The reason they called it the Noid was because, you know, it's short for annoyed. You know, because Domino's customers would be annoyed if they didn't get their pizza on time. So they spoofed it with a very clever ad campaign. Actually, Domino's has been trying to bring back the Noid. I don't know how well advised that decision is, but in any event, not in a big way. They're just kind of trying to taper it back in, but I don't know. So anyway, so David Noid was declared mentally ill or something. But anyway, he thought, so it's just kind of an example of how when you're a public figure and you have millions of adoring fans, or some maybe not so adoring. Some maybe having a little bit of hatred in their hearts. Sometimes you never know how people will react to any given kind of message, even if you intend to help people. And sometimes people will. And we live in an age of mass psychosis, what I would call fake news induced mass psychosis. At my grandparents' time, people would maybe look at the likes of the communist-owned, Google-owned YouTube, say, well, gee, this is just a bunch of silliness. You know, why would I pay attention to this garbage? Well, millennials have no frame of reference. Remember, millennials have been miseducated by an illogical communist propaganda system that we call public school or government schools. So millennials are more desperate for answers than any generation previous because our educational system has been co-opted by a federal bureaucracy and has been promoting leftist talking points rather than teaching children the foundations of America. Who are name the presidents, be able to add 2 + 2 without a calculator, and be able to spell fake news, or Leviticus. What's Leviticus? Is that like a president? Anyway, so just for future reference, just maybe just realize that sometimes we address some we address some topics which might be very applicable to your particular life, and sometimes that may arouse strong feelings. But I'm at the end of the day, my intention is to try to help every single one of you. That's the purpose of this. And coincidentally, by the way, I respond to all threats of violence swiftly and legally, and so I can't tell you how many how many police reports I've had to file. And there's some people that are like, oh, do you want to fight me? You know, and it's just like, I mean, there are just so many crazy people out there that I'm not going to fight every single one of you, and my security team is not that big, so and nor should it have to be. But I mean, know this. Look, I'm trying to, and I've been very successful at helping to heal the homosexual, to heal the birth control fed, men have kind of forced women to ingest birth control rather than fulfill their responsibilities as men and do their job, so that women can do what they really want to do, what their bodies are aching to do, which is have children. By the way, that's where 50 Shades of Grey came from. Women they've been taught, they don't know up here that they want to have babies, but they know down here that they want to have babies. And I don't care, you could have a penis as big as America's man's man, you're not going to be able to please a woman as much as healthy sex will. Healthy sex meaning within the context of marriage and resulting in a baby. Because, again, you could be America's man's man, your thing is not as big as a baby, and that's just the truth. And lots of them, by the way. It's what women want to do. It's what women really want. And frankly, Mel Gibson should have mentioned that in What Women Want. But, that's Hollywood for you, and that's Catholicism. This is America's man's man coming to you from just north of the hub of the universe. I know I'm going to get a lot of craziness from this, but that's okay. Anyway, the main point here being, it ain't about you specifically, so take a chill pill. Don't be like David Noyd. And we'll see you in the next America's Man's Man episode.